What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into the chaotic, superhero-filled world of Marvel Rivals. But we aren't testing this on a high-end beast. Oh no, we are putting this Unreal Engine 5 title to the absolute test on a severely budget-constrained rig. We're talking the AMD Radeon RX 6400 paired with the legendary but ancient Intel Core i7-3770. If you've been reading the internet forums and Reddit reviews, the consensus is pretty clear. People say Marvel Rivals is entirely too demanding for older hardware. They say 4 GB of VRAM just isn't enough anymore, especially for modern textures. And they definitely say putting an RX 6400 on a PCIe Gen 3 motherboard is a recipe for severe bottlenecking and disaster. Well, today we are going to find out if the internet is right, or if this budget survivor still has some fight left in it. We're testing every single preset to see exactly how it impacts your gameplay. Let's see what happens. Right off the bat, we are kicking things off on the low graphical preset. Now, looking at the screen, you can immediately tell that the visual fidelity takes a massive hit here. The textures on the heroes, the environmental details, and those flashy particle effects, they all look pretty flat and washed out. The lighting is stripped back, and the shadows are basically non-existent. But we aren't here for a cinematic masterpiece right now. We are here for raw performance. And honestly, the numbers are intriguing. We are hovering around a very respectable 54 frames per second on average. For a competitive hero shooter, 54 FPS is definitely playable. It's not the buttery, smooth experience the esports pros want, but for a casual gamer, it absolutely works. However, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why is it only 54 FPS on the absolute lowest settings? This is where our hardware combination really shows its age. The i7-3770 is working overtime to keep up with the fast-paced physics, the complex character abilities, and the heavy environmental destruction. Every time a wall crumbles, that CPU is sweating bullets. Furthermore, the RX 6400 is heavily restricted by the older PCIe interface. This causes some noticeable frame time spikes, and those pesky 1% lows drop dramatically during intense teamfights. The internet reviewers weren't entirely wrong about the stutters, but despite the hiccups, it is playable. Moving forward, we step up to the medium preset. And here is where things get genuinely surprising. We actually see our average frame rate stabilize and increase slightly, sitting at a solid 56 frames per second. I know what you were thinking. How does raising the graphics actually increase the performance? Welcome to the weird, unpredictable world of PC bottlenecks. By shifting the workload away from our heavily burdened CPU and forcing the graphics card to do more of the heavy lifting, we've actually smoothed out the frame pacing. The RX 6400, despite its architectural limitations, is handling the medium textures and the improved lighting models surprisingly well. The game instantly looks significantly better. The colors pop more. The environments feel less like a blurry mess and more like a vibrant comic book coming to life right in front of us. Reading through community reviews on Steam, many players with lower-end rigs have pointed out that Marvel Rivals utilizes aggressive dynamic resolution scaling behind the scenes. It's highly likely that the game engine is working hard to adjust the internal resolution dynamically just to keep that frame rate afloat during the heavy action. Whatever engine magic the developers used here, it's working beautifully. For this specific, aging hardware combination, this feels like the absolute sweet spot. You get a much better visual experience without sacrificing the competitive edge. It's a bizarre anomaly, but a welcome one for budget gamers. But what happens when we push into the danger zone? We enter the high preset. Immediately, the visual presentation takes a massive leap forward. The global illumination fully kicks in. The shadows become dynamic, deep, and sharp. The reflections on the metallic surfaces look absolutely fantastic. Marvel Rivals is a truly gorgeous game when it's allowed to flex its graphical muscles. But that beauty comes with a steep, unforgiving cost. Our performance has taken a significant nosedive. We are now dropping down to a 42 frames per second average. And let me tell you, you can feel every single lost frame. In a fast-paced shooter where tracking targets and reacting in milliseconds is crucial to winning, 54 FPS feels completely sluggish. The input latency has noticeably increased. Moving the mouse feels heavier and less precise. Our RX 6400 is completely maxed out at 100% utilization. The 4 GB of video memory is overflowing. When the VRAM fills up, the system has to start using the older, slower system RAM to compensate. The internet consensus hits the nail on the head here. Unreal Engine 5 eats VRAM for breakfast. During heavy team fights, we're talking about severe, game-breaking stutters that will get you eliminated. It looks beautiful if you're just standing still in the spawn room, but the moment the action starts, the illusion shatters. The visual upgrade is simply not worth the massive competitive disadvantage here. Finally, we have arrived at the absolute limit, the Ultra preset. Visually, this is as good as Marvel Rivals gets. Every single slider is maxed out. The destruction physics are set to maximum, the volumetric clouds look incredible, and the particle effects from ultimate abilities are blindingly beautiful. But the performance is exactly what you would expect from pushing a budget card to the brink. We have plummeted to an agonizing average of 39 frames per second. Honestly, I am genuinely shocked the system hasn't crashed straight to the desktop. The graphics card is screaming for mercy, and temperatures are definitely rising. At 39 FPS, the game transforms from a competitive hero shooter into a mildly interactive, very frustrating slideshow. The input lag is terrible, the stuttering is constant and aggressive. If you try to jump into a massive team fight, you will likely be dead before your screen even registered what happened. The frame pacing is completely erratic, making it impossible to aim projectiles or track fast-moving heroes like Spider-Man. It is completely unplayable for any serious gamer. You simply cannot run modern next-generation titles on Ultra with a budget card from years ago. So, after putting this ancient CPU and budget GPU through the ringer across all 4 presets, we have our definitive answer. The hardware is not completely dead yet, but you have to be smart about how you use it. I would like to know your opinion. Which graphics mode do you consider the most suitable for this GPU? Do you take the visual hit for maximum frames, or do you prefer that bizarre sweet spot we found earlier on Medium? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's discuss the balance between performance and visual quality. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.